Have you ever had that feeling like you've run out of room for all of your plants? I have, but I don't let anyone else tell me that.
Oh, hey!
You have way too many plants.
Okay. Fair. I promise I won't buy any more.
Wait, what's that?
Nothing.
Needless to say, I needed more space, or more shelves, for my plants. And I had the perfect spot. This is the perfect spot. Plenty of light and no other furniture. At least right here. I looked online for a plant stand to buy to fit this space, but none of them were perfect. So I decided to make one for myself. My idea was simple: get some hairpin style legs, buy a piece of wood for the top, slap them together, and voila, plant shelf. The first pieces I acquired for this build were the legs. If you're strapped for cash, try crowdfunding like I did. And by crowdfunding, I mean my parents bought them for me for my birthday. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I then went to the hardware store and picked up a hunk of live edge that was pre-cut. When I got home from the hardware store, I was super excited to start this project. However, life just finds a way to disrupt well-laid crafting plans. So what do you do when you have no time for those pesky procrastinated projects? You make a video about it. What was that? So I know this is not my normal type of content, but I generated some time for myself by making it for you. The wood I bought was a live edge piece, so that means it's still got part of the bark left down the side of it. I debated leaving the bark on, but felt like it would be more of a hassle trying to prevent it from falling off than to just remove it. And it was already broken off in a couple of spots, so I decided just to take it off. A chisel and a hammer worked really well to remove the bark. It wasn't the easiest of tasks. Some pieces came off really easily, while others, not so much. But was it enjoyable? Heck yes. Next step was sanding, which did turn into more chiseling and then more sanding. But enough of the boring stuff. Let's get to the good part. The fire! I am that kid who would play in the campfire with a stick until your parents told you to stop because you were going to pee the bed. Anyone else get told that as a child? That old wives' tale that if you play in the fire too much, you're going to wet the bed? I got told that all the time. Heck, I'm still that kid, but now I'm an adult and I tell people I'm rearranging the logs for a better burn with a metal poker. But between you and me, I'm still playing in the fire. So this part was most enjoyable. And no, I'm not a pyromaniac. I just have a healthy respect and appreciation for fire in very controlled circumstances. I even had a bucket full of water nearby just in case. I used a propane torch to lightly singe the outer surface of the wood. This technique is called sho sugiban. It's an old Japanese wood preservation technique that helps to prevent rot, weathering, and bug infestations. And it just happens to look pretty cool too. After burning the entire surface of the wood, I realized I hadn't sanded it down as much as I probably should have, or as much as I wanted it to be. It still felt pretty rough to the touch. So I took a little bit of a risk and I sanded the whole thing again. From when I was doing a little bit of research on this, you can sand after singeing the surface. It's helpful if you've burnt the wood quite a bit to remove some of that. You can also scrape it down with a wire brush if you need to. That adds some texture, which may add to the look that you want. But you can also sand it. That'll help bring up some of the lighter wood grain so that you can see it a little bit better. But after I sanded the piece down, I felt like it just didn't have the look that I wanted. So I burnt it again. Shh. I realized that this technique works really well if you follow the wood grain precisely as you're burning. And obviously, the slower that you go with the torch, the more burnt the wood will be. When I was finally finished, I was tempted to just leave it as it was because it looked pretty cool and just to cover the top with a clear coat. But I really wanted to stain it. I'd seen some images of people who'd done this technique online, and then they had stained the wood with a vibrant color. And when I saw those pictures, I just had to have that for myself. So I picked up some Minwax stain in Cherry Blossom. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I also got the pre-stain and the polyacrylic. These are all water-based for easy cleanup. When I applied the stain, I brought my wood piece inside and let it climatize to the house. Then I applied the pre-stain. And then I applied the Cherry Blossom wood stain. When I opened up the can initially, the color threw me off a little bit because it was so dark, and I wasn't really sure until I started applying it to the wood how it was gonna look. And oh my, she is so pretty. I only applied one coat over the entire piece, but I did go back later on with a smaller brush and just filled in some of the smaller cracks and crevices that the stain didn't reach during my initial application. I coated the top and sides with 3 coats of polyacrylic. 3 coats is their recommendation, and I wanted to make sure it was protected since I'm going to be using this as a plant stand. I only applied the polyacrylic to the tops and sides because my woodworking mentor, hi Dad, told me that the wood needs to breathe, so I wanted to make sure that it could do that. Once the polyacrylic was dried, I flipped the piece over and drilled holes for the legs. Then I attached the legs with 1 1/4 inch wood screws. I actually used pocket hole screws for this because that's what I had on hand. And I'm glad I only went with a 1 1/4 inch because where the legs were attached on the side of the piece, it gets thinner where the live edge was. I think I was actually lucky that I didn't drill through that too deep and out the other side. For whatever reason, I had wrongly assumed that the legs came with screws. I don't know why I thought that, because depending on what you're using these for, you would need different lengths of screws. I had some other wood screws, but they were just a little bit longer. I went with the pocket holes because of the length of them and because under the head of the screw it was flat, because they would sit flush against the pre-drilled holes of the metal legs. Now all that was left was to place the stand in the perfect spot and cover it with plants. I hope you enjoyed this video and you maybe decide to make one of these stands for yourself. Honestly, you probably could. Like, even if you're a beginner, you can totally do this. It was not hard overall. You don't really need to cut any wood. You do need to remove the bark. And you get to burn shit. So who doesn't want to do that? So, and you get to make it a beautiful, pretty color. Minwax stains had a variety of colors. You could do pink, you could do purple, you could do yellow, green, blue. It was so much fun. And I will definitely be using that stain again. The payoff from it, oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. One coat of that. And it was like, whoa, she's pink. that's what I wanted, but it was covered. So definitely worth it. My name is Pam, and this is Total Pamarchy, the craft channel with a little anarchy. Until next time, bye.